A very good evening. We're coming to you live from the Newsfirst studios right here in Colombo, bringing you the latest news from here at home and across the world. It's Primetime News with me, Mahina Bongzo.
And I'm Shine Jerome Ponti. Good evening and welcome to Primetime News. Let's start off a look at tonight's headlines.
India is our closest relation and China has been a long-standing friend, says former president. Indictments filed at the High Court against chairman of Avantgarde, Palita Fernando. Will the Western Provincial Council building, constructed at a cost of 7 billion rupees, become another white elephant? Secret accounting company in Hong Kong for mysterious cricket transactions.
Taking a look at those stories in detail now. 4 fishermen have died after their fishing boat collided with a merchant vessel in the deep seas 30 nautical miles away from Galle. Navy spokesperson Commander Dinesh Bandara, speaking to Newsfirst, said one fisherman was rescued by the Sri Lankan Navy.
The rescued fisherman said that the vessel had collided on the ship this morning. The Navy had deployed a Dora vessel to rescue the fishermen after being notified by the crew on board the freighter that there were fishermen stuck in the fishing vessel that capsized. Navy spokesperson Commander Dinesh Bandara said one fisherman was saved while Navy divers recovered the bodies of 4 fishermen in the vessel. The vessel involved in the accident had set sail from Beruwala.
Former President Mahinda Rajapaksa, who is currently in India, has said his brother is certainly a contender at the presidential election. The former president has expressed these views to the Hindu newspaper. The following is an excerpt of the interview and the views expressed by the former president.
Who will lead the SLFP into elections in 2019, given that you have completed 2 terms and according to the 19th Amendment, is that the limit?
I will lead the SLPP. There is a view that despite the amendment, I can fight the elections and then fight it out in court. But I still have to decide whether that is a risk I am willing to take. Another option is to announce a candidate acceptable to all. My son can't be a presidential candidate since they have now raised the minimum age to 35 years instead of 30, so he can't be considered in 2019. My brother is certainly a contender, but the party and the coalition will have to decide who the people want.
In March 2015, in an interview to The Hindu, you had accused RAW, the intelligence agency, of helping bring back the opposition together, which led to your defeat. A few weeks ago, you said that India must not meddle in political affairs in Sri Lanka. Are you worried it will?
It isn't only in India. I didn't mention just India. I said no one should meddle with somebody else's elections. It is an internal matter of a country whom the people decide to bring to power.
What was the reason for the deterioration in ties then?
Misunderstandings. My priority was always to develop my country, and I always kept India informed and asked them first to build the port, to build the airport, to build the highways. We always came to India. We offered them first. Then the next offer went to China, because they were the only people who could do it. And within 8 months, the Chinese had started.
Former President Mahinda Rajapaksa said, quote, "We had a mechanism during the war called Troika, where 3 officials from both sides were able to discuss any issue, even in the middle of the night. For economic purposes also, we must have a mechanism like that, where India and Sri Lanka coordinate on all the issues we have today." The former president added that India is our closest relation and our neighbor, and that China has been a long-standing friend. He said, quote, "In all our dealings with China, we never forgot about our interests of India," unquote.
While former President Mahinda Rajapaksa today played down his allegation against Indian intelligence being involved in his defeat, his stance was quite clear when he spoke to the South China Morning Post on the 12th of March 2015, when he said the Americans, the Norwegians, the Europeans and the Indian intelligence agency RAW were openly working against him. Here's what he said in 2015.
"I asked the Indians, why are you doing this? It's an open secret what you are doing. I had assured them that I would never allow the Sri Lankan soil to be used against any friendly country, but they had other ideas."
The question is, what changed from 2015 to today, when the former president's attitude towards India seems to have softened considerably? In his interview with The Hindu, he also mentioned that his brother was a contender in an upcoming presidential election. Our question is simple. Which brother is he talking about? Is it Gotabaya? Is it Chamal? Or is it Basil?
A foreign journalist has questioned the former president on who would be the next leader. The former president says his son is still young and the next in line is his brother. Is the Flowerbud party bankrupt to this extent? There are many leaders in the entire Kalutara district who worked very hard for the party. Doesn't Kumara Welgama have future because he is not a Rajapaksha? If your name is Welgama, you go to the dustbin. This is what it looks like. If your name is Rajapaksha, you must move to the top of the ladder. Is the alternative to this country a Rajapaksha? Shouldn't there be any opportunity for the likes of Dinesh Gunawardena? There are many other experienced seniors. They have become the invalid currency notes of the Flowerbud party. The Flowerbud party will never give an opportunity to a grassroots to rise.
Various views were expressed on a Twitter post by Dr. Subramanian Swamy, a senior leader of the Indian Bharatiya Janata Party, regarding former President Mahinda Rajapaksa.
Lanka Janathatuma wenne Mahinda Rajapaksa kila Subramanian Swamy kila thiyena ekana.
You will have to ask that from Subramanian Swamy himself. Maybe he made that statement believing what GLPD said, that former President Rajapaksa can contest again. We saw this on Twitter.
Sumana Dasat kiwwan. Sumana Dasat kiwwan ඉතින් සාමිත් සුමන දාස වගේ දන්නේ. ඒක කාලේ සාමීලා සුමන දාසලා කියනේවා හැන්ද ගියොත් සදා සුත්ති.
Former Secretary of Defense Gotabaya Rajapaksa provided a statement to the Criminal Investigations Department for almost 4 hours this morning.
Former Defence Secretary Gotabaya Rajapaksa arrived at the CID to provide a statement over the abduction and assault on journalist Keith Noya. At the previous court hearing, the Attorney General informed it was necessary to record statements from both former Defence Secretary Gotabaya Rajapaksa and former Army Commander and present Minister Field Marshal Sara Fonseca. After providing the statement, Rajapaksa left the CID premises without making any comment to the media.
Lieutenant Commander Chandana Prasad Hettiarachchi of the Sri Lankan Navy, who was arrested in connection to the abduction and forced disappearance of 11 youth, was further remanded until the 26th of September by Fort Magistrate Lanka Jayaratna.
The CID informed court today that Chief of Defence Staff Admiral Ravindra Vijay Gunaratne, who is expected to provide a statement on the matter, is to return to the island on the 19th following an overseas visit. The CID said a statement will be recorded from him upon his return and it will be produced in court. Also in court, indictments were handed over to Avantgarde Maritime Security Private Limited Chairman Nisanka Senadipati and retired Major General Palitha Fernando at the Colombo High Court today. They are faced with 47 indictments, including soliciting a bribe of 35.5 million rupees. The case was taken up before Colombo High Court Judge Shashi Mahindran. The first witness in the case, Colonel Asela Kulatunga, provided evidence in court today. Further recording of evidence was postponed to the 26th of October.
The Avantgarde floating armory was taken under the custody of security forces 12 nautical miles off the Gold Coast. Allegations that a large income through marine security services that was supplied by the Navy was lost due to Avantgarde. It was revealed that Avantgarde misused resources of Rakna Arakshaka Lanka Limited. Presidential Commission to investigate allegations of large-scale fraud and corruption begins investigations. Several joint accounts connected to the two companies come to light. Revelations that Avantgarde used weapons belong to Rakna Lanka. Allegations that former chairman of Avantgarde, Palitha Fernando, received bribes of 35.5 million rupees. Today, indictments filed at the High Court against chairman of Avantgarde, Nishanka Senadipati, and Palitha Fernando.
This story just came in. A 23-year-old youth from Maligawatta has been shot at by two unidentified gunmen who arrived on a motorbike. The youth who was injured has been admitted to the National Hospital. The news item once again, a 23-year-old youth from Maligawatta has been shot at by two unidentified gunmen who arrived on a motorbike. The youth who was injured has been admitted to the National Hospital. We'll have more details on that story. Moving on to more local news, speaking on CNBC on the sidelines of the World Economic Forum on ASEAN in Hanoi, Vietnam, Prime Minister Ranil Wickremesinghe said our country isn't nearly as vulnerable as others claim. The Prime Minister has also said that Sri Lanka is building longer-term financial stability by diversifying its exports beyond tea and apparel and into high-value goods and services.
The Premier has said he didn't believe Sri Lankan sovereign bonds were on the verge of a downgrade. According to CNBC, Prime Minister Ranil Wickremesinghe has said, quote, "We and many others are running deficits in Asia, and that certainly would be a matter of concern. But so far, we have been able to negotiate with the rating agencies, and it has certainly not affected our borrowing capacity."
Now, this statement is not a statement made with responsibility, because the Honorable Prime Minister does not realize in 2015, when this government came into power, the US dollar was at 130 rupees. The US dollar is presently at 163 rupees. So the rupee has depreciated by 33 rupees. Today, if one takes the FDIs which are coming into the country, there is hardly any FDIs coming into the country. All investment is done by the state. No FDIs are coming in because there is no coherent policy. If you speak to 5 people on the street and ask them, what about the cost of living? It has become unbearable. Petrol, diesel is being increased haphazard. There is no plan. And that is why we say that the economy is not doing well. People are unhappy.
Early last week, Newsfirst reported that Sri Lankan Airlines had been making mammoth losses since Emirates seized management of the company. Testifying before the Commission today, a former company secretary at the airline stated that certain decisions that led to these losses, including those decisions that decided the direction of the business, were made without the board's approval.
Following on from the questioning of Finance Chief Yasantha Disanayake last week, today's witness revealed that the airline had a new business plan formulated in the years 2010 and 11 under the leadership of then CEO Manoj Divas Gunawardena. The recommendation of the 3-year business plan had coincided with the appointment with Kapila Chandrasena as a paid consultant, receiving a monthly remuneration of 250,000 rupees. Interestingly, it was revealed that at the time, the board required an international party to come in to do a verification of the business plan. For this purpose, they hired a Delaware-based organization named Via Capital Partners in 2010 to come up with a business plan for a sum of $450,000. Coincidentally, this firm failed to provide references of their consultation service as they themselves were relatively new. This raises the question on why Sri Lankan Airlines were willing to pay a new firm with no experience a large amount of money for their services. The Commission today revealed that Sri Lankan Airlines spent $450,000 to a foreign consultant while already employing a local at a cost of 250,000 rupees a month. The Commission on the Central Bank proved to fall short of the expectations of the people. Now, in an extension period due to expire in December, will this commission also prove to be a farce? The commissioners must be aware that they are wasting their time and the resources of the public. The people are watching.
Free education can be used wonderfully to develop a nation. But do these children receive the benefits that come with free education?
Come at the door-to-door initiative. This group of students travel for miles on foot just to go to school. We met this group of children in the Kalukale village. They find it extremely challenging to go to school every day. The walk to school can take up to 3 hours. Their parents informed us that the students have to have their lunch on their way back because they get late to come home in the afternoon. The situation only worsens during the rain. Around 250 families in Puaktanna suffer because of the wild elephant issue. The lack of an electric fence only worsens the problem. These farmers are suffering as a result of the lack of a proper road to come to the village. While telling us how hard life becomes during the rainy season, the villagers further elaborated on how the Nikapotha village in Teragala is now listed as an area that faces the risk of landslides. Wangalai is a fishing village home to about 1,500 families. The inability to go deep-sea fishing is one of the main concerns of these people. This situation is further intensified as a result of Indian fishermen poaching. The villagers of Eroman told us that one of their biggest issues is the lack of drinking water. A lack of drinking water has also led to an increase in kidney disease in the area. These villagers who live on the banks of the Kelni River are involved in the sand and gem mining industries. But the residents told our teams that other projects that crop up in the locality have now put their livelihoods at risk. The situation has already affected the residents of Dompe and Udugama. All these villagers ask for is a quick solution to their existing job issues. Come at the door-to-door initiative.
The March 12th movement convened a media briefing in Colombo today.
Parliamentary sessions were adjourned on a number of occasions because of the lack of quorum. If at least 20 of the 225 MPs cannot make it to Parliament, what is the position of democracy in this country? 4.5 million rupees is spent on one parliamentary sitting. Public funds are being used for this. There are 225 MPs, 455 provincial councillors, 8,535 local government members. The total is 9,215 politicians. There's a politician for every 2,170 group of people from the total population. Can this country be steered into a proper path? Are these public representatives acting in a proper manner? Provincial councillors are appointed as per a zigzag system. This is because they would lose their position if they fail to attend 3 continuous sittings. The number at local government bodies has doubled. We have not seen any reasonable change.
සභික ප්‍රමාණය දෙගුණයක් බවට පත් කරලා තිබෙනවා. හැබැයි මේ වෙනකන් අපි දකින්නේ නැහැ. එවැනි සාධනීය වෙනසක් කොට්ටාසවල.
And up next is our investigative segment, Action TV.
A census conducted by the Ministry of Education for the year 2017 confirmed that 433 schools in the island did not receive a single Grade 1 application last year. A majority of these schools are established in rural areas. The primary cause for the rural community to grow a sense of frustration towards the schools in rural areas is the absence of the basic physical and human resources. Over the past few days, Newsfirst reported on this crisis, but this in fact was just the tip of the iceberg. Even though this is the ground reality, a recent cabinet paper clearly indicates that the government's decision concerning the country's education are visionless and are taken without proper understanding. This cabinet paper was put forward yesterday by the subject minister and is likely to be approved at the forthcoming meeting of the Cabinet of Ministers. This cabinet paper includes a program to provide tabs to advanced level students and teachers of 353 national schools which are administered by the Line Ministry. The program is to be carried out at a cost of over 1 billion rupees in public funds. Rather than utilizing public funds to resolve the crisis surrounding the physical and human resources of nearly 4.5 million students at government schools, is it practical to invest in tabs for these children?
Heavy traffic congestion was reported along a number of roads in Colombo today, owing to protests that were staged in the city.
A protest march was organized by the Development Service Officers Union from Borella to the Ministry of Public Administration in Colombo. This was in line with strike action launched by the state development officers. The protest was launched centering on demands including the lack of a proper work environment, salary anomalies and other issues faced by graduates. Employed graduates also joined the protest. The protest resulted in traffic along the Borella, Baudaloka Mavata and surrounding roads. A protest was launched by the Inter-University Students' Federation over issues on hostels at the Subramanian University and welfare. The march began at Colombo Fort and proceeded to the University Grants Commission. This is the situation that arose during the protest. Owners of driving schools and driving schools instructors marched to the Department of Motor Traffic in Narayanpeta today. The protest march was against the decision made by the government to join the Transportation Board and automobile unions in issuing driver's licenses. There was a heavy traffic congestion along the Rajagiriya flyover during the afternoon as well. Many point out that the traffic is caused by the vehicular congestion close to the President's College in Rajagiriya. This is the situation along the Rajagiriya flyover that was displayed on online maps during the course of the day. We had pointed out the inconveniences caused by the construction of the Rajagiriya flyover that was aimed at reducing the traffic congestion in the area. However, those who were for this project kept on justifying its construction. What do they have to say about the situation in the area today?
The 20th Amendment to the Constitution, which was presented by the JVP as a private MP's bill, was the subject of discussion on the Satana political program that was aired on our sister channel Sirsa TV yesterday.
The 225 MPs in Parliament can appoint a Member of Parliament as the President. We have a precedent in India. Eminent people like Abdul Kalam were appointed like that.
I would like to ask why the JVP has stolen the power of the people. Why does the JVP believe the Parliament and not the people?
You know that a President who is elected by the people has a large amount of power.
No, if there is no power through the Constitution, how can there be any power after that?
There is power through the Constitution.
It is the right of the people to remove the power from the Constitution.
We have an extremely powerful presidential system. On top of that, after the 19th Amendment, legal action cannot be filed against the President. The President can adjourn Parliament at any time without any reason. After 2020, the executive presidency will be no more. What is the dialogue in the country at present? They are pulling this both ways. They want people who have a military style. Those are the people who are being demanded. A person who is appointed by the people's vote will not be able to curtail the power. What happens after that is the power will get centralized in two camps.
How can we accept that the powers of a president who is elected through the people's mandate cannot be curtailed? That was done through the 19th. The president appointed the Auditor General, the IGP and the Chief Justice. Now it is done through the Constitutional Council. We can reduce it through the Constitution.
On one hand, the president is the head of the state. He holds 3 key positions. Why would we give such key positions to a person who is not elected through the mandate of the people? We can clearly see that the leaders who are providing leadership to certain groups are unable to face the presidential election due to endemic weaknesses. Some people cannot run for president because they can't contest for the presidential election for the 3rd time. Others cannot contest because they cannot win under any circumstance. In a similar manner to the local government elections and the provincial council election, they are carrying out steps required to prolong their politics by delaying this presidential election.
The committee appointed to look into the purchase of new chairs for the chambers of the Western Provincial Council is to hand over its report to the Governor tomorrow. Western Province Governor Hemakumara Nanayakara said a final decision will be taken on the purchase after he receives the report.
Recently, the Governor's attention was drawn towards potential irregularities in the procurement process, purchasing 104 chairs, each worth 640,000 rupees, for the new building of the Western Provincial Council. This led to the appointment of a 4-member committee headed by the Chief Secretary of the Western Province to look into the matter. A sum of over 7 billion rupees, inclusive of taxes, was estimated to be the cost for the construction of the new building of the Western Provincial Council. Over 5.8 billion rupees has been spent so far for the construction of the building complex. Work on several portions of the building included in the total estimate remain incomplete. Among them are the building management system, vehicle management system, seats for the chambers, tables and chairs for the canteen for special guests, clock system and sofas, and tables for the building's lobby. There remains less than 1.2 billion rupees of the estimated cost to meet these requirements. Against this backdrop, the new building of the Western Provincial Council was declared open on the 12th of July with the objective of providing a broad and efficient public service. However, not a single council session has been conducted at the new chambers to date. Since being opened, the Western Provincial Council convened on around 5 days, and these meetings were held at the council's old building. In addition to an extraordinary chair, they've also spent on an extraordinary door. A sum of close to 10.5 million rupees has been spent on the door through which the council chairman enters. This is like another parliament. What do we need another parliament for? Tenders have been called from 3 companies to install loudspeakers and camera systems for the chambers. One of the companies had been rejected because of an issue concerning the signature at the end of the application. The other company had been rejected citing a technical fault. So eventually, the tender had been awarded to the bidder with the highest price, which is 109 million rupees. The company, which is more technologically capable, had requested 72 million. This is the application which they claimed was incomplete. But the 109 million rupee tender has been awarded, which is a difference of 37 million rupees. This is no small amount. Our attempts to contact Chief Minister of the Western Province, Isura Devapriya, for a response on these allegations were unsuccessful.
Sri Lanka's core group at the 39th session of the Human Rights Council on behalf of Germany, Macedonia, Montenegro and the UK as its members has welcomed steps Sri Lanka has taken to implement commitments made to the Council in 2015 and 2017.
They welcome the government's continued engagement with the UN system and actions to implement its National Reconciliation Action Plan and Peace-Building Priority Plan. It goes on to note the pace of progress on important areas remains much slower than many hoped for and adds as time passes, lack of progress in delivering key steps risks undermining reconciliation efforts. Statement read, with determined leadership and a clear time-bound action plan, this government can make more progress towards delivering its council commitments, and that doing so will better position Sri Lanka and its people to enjoy a more enduring reconciliation and prosperity.
Former President Mahinda Rajapaksa, who is currently in India, called on the Indian Prime Minister Narendra Modi this morning. The former president travelled to India to address a public meeting of the Virat Hindustan Sangam upon the invitation of the senior BJP leader Dr. Subramanian Swamy. The event was held this evening. UPFA MP Nama Rajapaksa had also accompanied the former president.
Finally, in sports, also making headlines this evening, Newsfirst reported that there was a fraudulent attempt to transfer $5.5 million of Sri Lanka cricket's media rights sponsorship funds to an offshore account.
It has now come to light that there was an attempt to deposit these funds to an account in Hong Kong, which was opened on the 27th of September 2017, and the beneficiary of this account is listed as Fanya Silu Company Limited. It is also revealed that this company was incorporated on that very day. These details have come to light from a series of emails exchanged between the head of finance at Sri Lanka Cricket and the Indian company that was ready to make the payment for the media rights sponsorship. The emails have informed the Indian company that the money transferred to the Hong Kong bank are immediately wired to an account in a Mexican bank, and the beneficiary of that account is Sri Lanka Cricket. Speaking to Newsfirst, SLC CEO Ashley De Silva said SLC does not have such an account. Mexico is famous for many things, and one of it is for being a tax haven. There is serious doubt as to whether Fanya Silu Company Limited was incorporated for a special transaction. Nevertheless, the CID is investigating this incident, and following the revelations on this matter, the person who served as the head of finance at Sri Lanka Cricket is yet to report to work. More details to follow on News First.
And that is tonight's News Primetime News Bulletin. Thank you very much for watching. I'm Shahin Rampati.
And I'm Mahina Bongso. It was a pleasure having you with us here as always. Take care and good night.